because it has no edges or boundaries, it's curved, every point in the universe is actually the center of the universe. Turn to the person next to you and say, I am sitting in the center of the universe.
Sitting in the center of the universe.
While they're saying the same thing to you. Now, the general estimate is that in this universe, there are somewhere between 100 and 200 billion galaxies. And of those galaxies, there is one of those 100 or 200 billion galaxies called the Milky Way. It is 100,000 light years in diameter. It has at least 100 billion planets and somewhere between 200 and 400 billion stars, and it is traveling at 600,000 miles an hour. Some of you say, I don't like to go fast. Too late. And then, in this particular universe, in this particular Milky Way galaxy, there is a small solar system. It is about 4.5 billion years old, and in this solar system, the farthest planet out is 2.8 billion miles from the sun. And in that particular solar system, in this particular galaxy, in this particular universe, is a rather nondescript floating green and blue ball. It is 71% covered in water, 95% of which is unexplored. It tilts at 23.5 degrees. It is hurtling through space at 67,000 miles an hour while simultaneously rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. And on this floating green and blue ball hurtling through space, in this solar system, in this galaxy, in this particular universe is you. And you are extraordinary. You are made up of somewhere around 60% water. This is why when you swim, it's refreshing. You are made up of 7 billion atoms. Every one of those 7 billion atoms is at least 1 billion years old. Your heart pumps 2,000 gallons of blood a day. This is why sometimes on Tuesdays you like to take a nap. Your heart pumps this 2,000 gallons a day through roughly 100,000 miles of blood vessels. Your body creates several billion new cells a day. Every minute, roughly 300 million cells in your body die, and in that same minute, your body reproduces 300 million new cells. Your brain contains somewhere around 100 billion neurons, comprising roughly 1 trillion neural connections. The most complex thing in the universe is between your ears. See, sometimes people say, do you believe in miracles? That's not the question, is it? The question is, it's all a miracle, isn't it? See, you and I are products of a modern age. We've been swimming in an enlightenment sea. For roughly the past 300 years, powerful forces have been at work in the modern world, and they have done extraordinary things. We experienced this explosion of scientific, rational, linear, logical thinking. And what's happened over the past 300 years, we had the explosion of what's called the scientific method. Some call it the age of certainty. And what it did is it produced extraordinary things. We have hospitals and airplanes and 10,000 songs in our pockets. Yes. This modern thing was extraordinary because it brought us incredible luxuries and technologies. But what it did, and what the science class, how many of you went to science class growing up? Yes. How many of you remember one thing? How many smiled and pretended like you understood? But here's what this did to us in some very subtle ways that have affected our understanding of spirituality. Is modern scientific thinking, which has brought us incredible advances and benefits. It also subtly taught us that the universe is a closed, predictable, known system, right? It's got these rules that it operates according to. And so the miracle question becomes, do you believe things happen that can't be explained with simple data and the brain?
Yes.
as if you can explain this. And some say, well, it's very straightforward. 13.7 billion years ago, there was a point, a singularity, and then there was a bang, and it made the world as we know it. That's the answer? Because that's actually a question. It's all miraculous. Now, let's get very practical. Try this the next time you find yourself flirting with despair. And you know what despair is? Despair is the conviction that tomorrow is going to be exactly like today. Despair is a belief that you're trapped. It's a claustrophobia of the soul. Despair is what happens when you believe that the future will be just a repeat of today. The next time you find yourself stuck in traffic, the next time you find yourself having to fill out another report or go to another meeting or fold another stack of laundry, because as soon as you get done with the laundry, there's another pile, correct? It's like, what, were you playing in a cement mixer? What was that? What is this? The next time you find yourself flirting with despair, stop. Take a deep breath and then ask yourself, it's all a miracle, isn't it? See, the life that you want begins by embracing the life that you have. And the life that you have is miraculous. The life that you have is miraculous. The life that you have also matters. All of it. When my wife Kristen was 15, she went on her first date. A young man came to the house, picked her up, took her to a movie, and they were driving home, and she was raised in the desert on these long, straight roads in the foothills of Arizona. And they're driving down one of those roads, and a drunk driver was coming the other way at over 50 miles an hour and hit them head on. Completely totaled the car. She and her date were rushed to the hospital, and her parents were called and told, your daughter has been in a horrific car accident. She's being rushed to so-and-so hospital. So my father-in-law, Doug, and my mother-in-law, Judy, jumped in their car and raced to the hospital. Now, I have to tell you about my father-in-law. He's, right now he's in his late 60s. He's bald, like bald, like see your face in his skull bald. And for years he had a large red mustache without irony. This is not a flannel shirt hipster mustache with a wink. This is like a man mustache. And he lifts weights every day. So he's literally in his late 60s and he's ripped with a six-pack, and not a dude, let's party six-pack, the other kind of six-pack. So that's my father-in-law. Picture a cross between G. Gordon Liddy and Mr. Clean. And that's sort of my father-in-law. They're driving to the hospital down one of those straight as an arrow desert roads, and they see up ahead that traffic is backed. There's a couple cars backed up. And as they get closer, they realize that this is the street that their daughter had been riding down, and that they haven't yet cleared the cars from the road. And so they get up, and they literally, as they get up to the wreckage, and by the way, one of the emergency workers said, where are the bodies that were in this car? And they said, well, they rushed them to the hospital. They said, no. Nobody who was in that car is still alive. And they said, well, actually, it was two high school kids, and they are. That level of car wreckage. And my mother-in-law said that as they had to pull their car around the wreckage, she saw tears start to come out of his eyes, and she said, I'd never seen him tear up before. You know this story because you've had those moments when your awareness that life matters. You've had those moments when it was heightened and you became overwhelmed with the sense that life is this fragile gift and it matters, correct? The truth is, it often takes suffering, loss, and struggle to heighten our senses to how much life matters. Would you agree? And often what happens is life gets divided. There are those moments, suffering, loss, euphoria, joy. There are those moments when we're highly acutely aware that it matters. And then there's the rest of life. We even have this word, the grind, the routine, the treadmill. Life ends up ever so subtly getting split into that which matters and then the other stuff that you kind of slog through to hopefully get to another of those moments. But are you breathing? Yeah, so you are a spiritual being. And the art, the task, the invitation is to grow in your spiritual awareness of how every moment matters. Here's why this is so meaningful to me. When I was 28, my wife and some friends and I started a church like you do. And there